My name is Jenna Keel, and my background is I'm a professional tour guide here in Galveston, Texas. I've been performing as a tour guide for about 10 years and doing research as a historian for about the same amount of time. I grew up in a haunted house. So seeing weird things and having supernatural experiences was kind of a second nature deal at my house. And it just fascinated me that there could be something on the other side and you could have these experiences and see things. And it just kind of led me into learning about the different ghost stories. But when the ghost stories would scare me, then I would have to look deeper into the history. That was kind of the deal at my house. My parents would say, yeah, it scares you because you don't know why it's here. So if you understand the why, then you will understand how to deal with it better. And that's kind of what we've always done.
Among Galveston's grand historic homes, the League Kempner Mansion stands as a monument to wealth, tragedy, and time itself. Built in 1893, it's known as one of the last of the legendary Broadway beauties.
This is the League Kempner Mansion. And the League Kempner Mansion, it started out being built by Nicholas Clayton, who was a famed architect here in Galveston. And this is the very last residential establishment that he built. And he built it for his very good friend, J.C. League. And they had a really interesting history, because J.C. League was a businessman, and he winds up being the man that donates the land that creates League City, which is back over on the mainland, of course. Well, Nicholas Clayton had designed a building for the county of Galveston here in the city, and he had a couple of issues with them, and he wound up being blackballed. And he just about wound up penniless at the end of it. He winds up bankrolling Nicholas Clayton for pretty much the rest of his life. And J.C. League passes away in January of 1916. And Nicholas Clayton dies in December of 1916. And when he built this house and designed it, he was keeping his friendship in mind the whole time. And all of the latest, greatest appliances, all of the different types of electrical opportunities there were to wire this house for lighting, he took all of that into consideration. And it was really a house forged in friendship.
This elegant residence has weathered hurricanes, witnessed shifting fortunes, and endured through generations of change. But beyond its hardwood floors and sweeping porches, something lingers. Whispers echo through the halls. Visitors report shadowed figures drifting through dim corridors, doors closing without a touch, and the faint scent of perfume in an empty room. Some say this mansion is more than just a home. It's a keeper of memories and spirits.
I believe that there's a lot of activity in the house because every person who has ever lived here has loved this house just unconditionally. The first owners, of course, the house was built because the best friend makes the house for him, right? And then when the League family sells it to the Kempner family, Eliza Kempner, she wants to have this house so that her grandchildren can visit her here and they can have holidays here. And they wind up using this house as a way to entertain for their family and the community at the same time. Beyond that, when the third owner takes it over, it becomes a boarding house. So it becomes a place for people to live who choose to come to the island. And when that person passed away, unfortunately, the house had not been used for a long period of time. So it kind of fell into disrepair. The woman who purchased the house and then turned it into a nonprofit, Janie Mitchum, she winds up loving the house too. She had been looking at this house her entire life. Every time they would come to Galveston to go to the beach, she would pass by this house and just admired it. And when she was able to finally get the opportunity to buy it, she got inside and realized that a lot of the original architectural details are still here. That isn't just by accident. This house had been sitting vacant for about 20 years, and nobody who had ever come into the house, vandals, anyone, nobody had ever destroyed any of the things that were here, which is kind of remarkable when you think about vacant places and how people will go inside and do things to them. There have been a lot of paranormal investigations that have come through. And there was a group, Gen X Paranormal, and they were in the master bedroom, and they were taking photographs, and they got what appeared to be apparitions. There was also some cloudiness that showed up in the pictures. There were faces that showed up in those cloudy pieces of evidence that they had. One of the investigators looked as if he was wearing absolutely not a stitch of clothing, and yet he was wearing jeans and a black t-shirt. It was very unusual. We've also had a paranormal investigation that took place where they had an entire group of people, about 25, 30 people lining the walls, and they had a flashlight sitting on a table, and they kept asking questions, and the flashlight would come on for yes, it would stay off for no. They continuously checked the batteries to make sure that it wasn't faulty. They also changed out the flashlights that they were using, and they kept getting the same type of responses. So there's a lot of energy in that space, and a lot of people do have experiences in there. When I met Janie for the very first time, I told her that I didn't know if I would be able to help her in any capacity to do anything for this house. But I definitely wanted to try, because this house, with its history, is worth saving. And so we created a month of mourning, and we did the psychic medium gallery reading night and paranormal investigations in order to be able to raise money for the house. In doing that, I had to decorate the parlor for a funeral. So I chose the inspiration of J.C. League's funeral, which was held in the parlor when he died. And we put the casket in there. We had flower arrangements. We had tables set up. We had the mirror in there covered. It was just like it would have been at the time of his passing. We had some final touches that we needed to do. So my sister and I were coming to the house to finish those up. And I have a key and the alarm code. I had to unlock the door, punch in the alarm code, wandered around the corner to the parlor, and there was a woman sitting at the table in one of the chairs. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was anybody in here." And then I went, "Wait, I am completely alone in this house. There shouldn't be anyone there." And she was gone. And that was the first time I ever saw someone in this house. On pretty much every ghost tour that I've done through the house, we've had people who are always most intrigued to go into the basement, because it's not often you get to see a basement level in the city of Galveston, and yet we have one. And on every tour, everybody always seems to see a man standing in the corner. Now, I've never seen him. I've never had any experiences with him, but numerous people on the tours have seen him down there. And we had a paranormal investigative team that came through, and they had two rules that they were told they needed to follow. They were not allowed to go to the attic, and they were not allowed to go to the basement alone. Those were the rules. And they chose to break the rules and go. One of the investigators wound up getting scratched. They were saying that through their spirit box, they were getting not nice words being said to them and being called, unpleasant things, and just really didn't like the experience at all. So they ran to the sunroom, and they said that they felt very peaceful in there, as if that was the only safe space that there was in the house. And when I got back to the house to talk to them and find out what was going on, they told me that they had gone in the basement. And I said, "Well, I had told you don't go in there, and you did." And the woman looked over at me and she said, "Yes, but when we went down there, these terrible things happened, and I was scratched." And she did have scratches on her arm. I don't think that it was malicious, really. I think it was more a way to scare them, because they knew that they had not listened and had not followed the rules. But again, people have had experiences and have seen things down there, so I really can't say for sure. In the attic space, there is a story of a couple of ladies who were touring through the house. And it was kind of a slow day, so one of the volunteers was walking them through and explaining what the different rooms were for, and just, basically showing them the house as one does. And they saw a little girl that was up here and just assumed that she was the granddaughter of the person who was showing them around. And at the end of the tour, they were a little confused as to why they weren't able to tour the third floor space alone if there was a child that was running around up here. So they came back into the house and they said, hey, we just really want to know, like, if it's not safe on the third floor, why are you allowing your granddaughter to run around up there? And the volunteer looked at them and said, there are no children here today. You guys are the only ones that have come through. And they said, no, we saw her. She was on the third floor. She's in the attic space. And they came back up here and they said that she had ducked behind the wall as they were walking out. And they were the only ones so far that I know of that have seen her. But there is a lot of activity in the attic space regardless. People on tours oftentimes feel as if when they go close to the sink, as if they're being pushed out of the space. Sometimes people feel cold spots over there. So different things like that do occur. There is a room on the first floor. It would be a study or a library. And there's a portrait of J.C. League above the fireplace in that room. And it seems as though his eyes follow you as you move through the room, which is a little spooky all on its own. But during a paranormal investigation, after that one team didn't listen to the rules, it became the law of the land that we had to have a volunteer on site when the investigations would happen so that we could make sure that everybody was doing what they were supposed to. Sometimes that conflicts with my ghost tours. And so my sister will come and she will sit here with the people while I am doing the tour, and then I relieve her when I'm done. Just this last summer, it was exceptionally hot in the house. We do not have air conditioning in the League Kempner Mansion. It is a work in progress, and it needs a lot of love before that can happen. And so she and her husband were sitting down in that room in the study, the library where J.C. League's portrait hangs. And she was sitting in the leather chair. And he was sitting across from her on a chair. He was sweating bullets. He was just drenched in sweat. My sister was cold and felt as if maybe possibly there was a presence located either in the chair where she was sitting or very near it. And she stayed chilled and remained chilled the entire time she was sitting in that location. My mom came in through the house after we did the month of mourning, and she was helping us gather our things and take things out of the house because we had to get ready for Christmas. And there was a room partition that was sitting next to that chair. My mom leaned over the chair to grab it, and when she did, she felt as if somebody stood up from the chair and walked through her.